That first year was probably one of the hardest years ever of my life. No making no money, nothing happening. Man, like I was about to quit. I said, man, I got to quit. It's just not working. 9 months in, I got a call from a lady. She told me that her husband, unfortunately, he was dying of cancer. And they had two properties that they needed to liquidate for medical bills. And she said, I actually got your letter 6 months ago, but I held on to it because I knew I was going to eventually sell my property. And I was just calling to see were you still in the business. And I knew that wasn't nothing but God, because I was like, man, what made this lady keep my postcard for 6 months, held on to it, and called me 6 months later. And I said, yeah, I'm still in the business, and I ain't closed not one deal yet.
Welcome to the Property Power Play. I'm your host, Kito J Johnson, and it is right here that we equip you with the tools necessary to play the game of real estate and win. So we're going to talk about wholesaling real estate, and I know this is a strategy that the two of you have just dominated in here in the market. But before we jump into that part of our conversation, I'll start with you, Will. Just tell the audience who you are.
My name is Will Galloway. Been a real estate investor now. This year actually makes 10 years. I've been in the real estate business. I'm a husband. I'm a man of God. And I love this business of wholesaling. I also have a large rental portfolio, so I wholesale. I rent properties out. I'm real passionate about affordable housing, so most of my houses are Section 8, and I also do fix and flips. Just a little bit of everything, but I'm just grateful to be here to have this conversation today.
And what about you, Tim?
Yeah, my name's Tim Harvey. I'm just thankful to be here. Man of God, husband, father. Been in the business for it's been about 21 years now. I've just had an opportunity to do some of everything in real estate, from fixing and flipping to lending to wholesaling. You name it, I've pretty much been able to do it in residential real estate.
So let's define wholesaling. What is wholesaling real estate?
It's one of the strategies we use to get rid of properties early. You put a property under contract with the seller that needs to sell, and on the other side you have another buyer that needs to buy. And you're the person that's in the middle. You're the sandwich. So you're the thing in the middle that's actually conducting that transaction.
In essence, you're acquiring a property, you're talking to a motivated seller, right. You're getting a property under contract at some sort of a discount, right? When you're looking for motivated sellers, there are a number of different signs of motivation. One of the primary signs of motivation is perfectly depicted right here in this particular house. You notice that the windows are boarded up. The assumption here is that nobody lives here, right? So this house is boarded up, nobody lives here. There could be a motivated seller on the other side, right? So now that we've found this boarded up property, a wholesaler has got to take the steps necessary to determine who owns it, to reach out to that individual to discover whether or not they're interested in selling. So if I got a property under contract for 100 grand, I'm looking for somebody to pay me 110. I'm just the middle guy. I make the $10,000, and then I sell it to the ultimate investor, right? That might fix it and flip it, or renovate it and rent it out. Right. Will, you've always inspired me with your story about when you started looking for it, when you first got involved, and you looked for that motivated seller, and for months you were after it, after the deal, and you almost gave up. Right? Can you talk about that and the components that led to your first deal?
I actually got into real estate back in 2007, and I was just like everybody else watching that show Flip This House, thinking that it looked easy like we saw it on TV. Mm-hmm. And I got into it, and actually I made tons of mistakes. But at the time I thought, growing up, when you think about real estate, you think, oh, I need this money, oh, I need to get a loan, and I didn't know nothing about none of these other strategies. I was able to get that property sold right before the 2008 recession happened. I took that money, I got into the nightclub business. That business, went under in about 2 years. And then from there, I didn't really have no employment. I was just trying to find my way. I was trying to figure things out. I think similar to like Tim, I just still had that niche for real estate. Even though I had failed on that first fix and flip, I didn't really make any money. I think I about broke even on that project. And but I wanted to get back into the business, and I didn't know which way. But I ended up stumbling across some videos, same way, like Tim just said, and I found a strategy of wholesaling. Mm-hmm. And I just basically dissected the information. I was just basically learning as much as I could. And that first, from what you was talking about, that first year was probably one of the hardest years ever of my life. I was up, sleepless nights. I remember putting those signs out 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, writing signs, so many till my hand was hurting, and kept just taking action. I was an implementer. I was taking action, but nothing was happening, And my first deal came 6 months. No, it wasn't 6 months. It was 9 months. And I was like, 9 months, making no money, nothing happening. Man, like, I was about to quit. I said, man, I got to quit. It's just not working, because I was going to give myself up to a year to try it out. 9 months in, I got a call from a lady. She told me that her husband, unfortunately, he was dying of cancer. And they had 2 properties that they need to liquidate for medical bills. And she said, I actually got your letter 6 months ago, but I held on to it because I knew I was going to eventually sell my property. And I was just calling to see, were you still in the business? And I knew that wasn't nothing but God, because I was like, man, what made this lady keep my postcard for 6 months, held on to it, and called me 6 months later? And I said, yeah, I'm still in the business. And I ain't closed not one deal yet. I said, yes, ma'am, I'm still in the business. She said, well, can you meet me at the properties? And she had 2 properties, and she let me put both of those properties under contract. And didn't even have no buyers at the time. End up selling one to one buyer, and then another wholesaler ended up helping me sell the other one. Yeah. I made $5,000 on one, $6,000 on one, so that was $11,000. That was my introduction to real estate, and I haven't looked back since.
I want to ask you how you feel about the current economy that we're in and the strategy of wholesaling. How does that fit? And then is the field of wholesaling saturated because there's such a low barrier of entry into it?
I think it's a great time. Really, because pre-COVID, not that many people were going into foreclosure, but now more people are going into pre-foreclosure, and the banks are threatening to take people's houses. We're in the economy now where there are more motivated sellers than ever before. So there's an opportunity to help more people than ever before. We had one situation where there were 7 brothers and sisters. And their mother died intestate, which means that she didn't leave a will. The house was going into pre-foreclosure, so they didn't have the resources to even sell the house. We were able to create a situation where, first off, they weren't getting along at first, because they weren't in agreement with what needed to happen. So once we came along, we were able to kind of help everybody come into agreement with what needed to happen. Once they got into agreement, we were able to help them sell the house, and at the closing table, they were so happy, and they were together. That was the other thing, is they were together, and they made money. We work to create win-win situations, for these people, and there's no better feeling, than just to be at a closing table and everybody's happy and ready to make things happen. So
absolutely. I want to talk a bit about scaling. What it looks like to go from part-time to scale into as a full-time wholesaler.
I think that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal for me when I came into it, well, first I wanted to learn it. I wanted to be an expert in it, but I didn't want it to feel like a job, So the only way I can, not make it feel like a job, I had to find a way to scale. I had to find a way to grow. Yeah. And the only way you can grow in any business is you got to bring on, staff, employees, other people. When me and Tim, we created our meetup back in 2015. And when we start collaborating with more people and we start doing deals with more people, when me and him was doing more deals together and doing deals with you, just the community just coming together doing more business, it just inspired expansion. It was just the next thing that made sense.
When you first get started, the thought process is, okay, I've got to do this. I've got to find the seller. I've got to find the buyer. I've got to, define the attorneys. I've got to use the attorneys. I've got to go take pictures, et cetera. As you begin to, go into your career, you begin to realize that, hey, I can't do all this stuff, and it's counterproductive to me in being able to grow. So what a team looks like is those things that I just named. You get somebody to help you do each one of those aspects. Of course, after you master it yourself. Yeah. I want to encourage, like anybody that's out there and you're thinking about growing a team, make sure that you master that one particular aspect first before you add that task to somebody else, because they're relying on you. They're relying on you to help them, with whatever they're doing for the week, their weekly subsistence. They're relying on you for that.
I want to talk a bit about faith. If we're going to create and work to create win-win-win situations where we're not taking advantage of people, right. We're all working together so that the ultimate solution is one that serves everybody, right. Then, at least for me personally, my faith is a foundation for approaching business like that. How has faith played a role in your wholesaling business?
Faith is just, it's the, my faith in God is the beginning of everything I do. From every fiber of my being, I want people to know what I represent from a standpoint of my faith. Being an entrepreneur is it takes faith. You know what I'm saying? It really takes faith. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that helps me have the confidence. When we started off, when Wholesalers Are Us, a lot of people knew that we would pray. We would pray with them, before a meetup or, after a meetup, they'd come in with a situation, and, it was a blessing just to know that people thought of us in that manner.
Yeah, how about you, role of faith?
It got me to where I am today because, if I didn't have that faith in me, like I said earlier, I would have quit. It starts with your faith. It starts with that relationship with God, and He'll put it inside of you, but it starts with your belief. It just reflects on your business, and then what happens is it starts going into your business, then it starts going to your family, then it starts going into your finances, then it just trickles into everything that you're doing, and it just makes a difference. People see it on you. People see, man, he believes, like he's a believer. You know what I'm saying? Like people see, oh, he walks in faith, he believes, like. And it's just that no quit mentality, that mindset that I'm gonna get it done, like all of that.
I don't know how many years it's been, 6, 7, when y'all started Wholesalers Are Us, and I found you on Meetup, and I heard you very openly express your faith up front, right? With the team and your passion around building a wholesaling organization and training and equipping other people. I came in the room at a time in my life when I had been praying for people to come into my life that didn't need so much from me. Right. I was looking for folks, I was looking for relationships where there could be a mutual exchange. Right. So we can do business together, and we can also pray together. Right. We can grow and prosper together, but we can also talk as brothers. Right. And so when I said up front at the onset of this conversation that you all are my brothers, I mean that with everything. God sent you into my life at the right time to answer a prayer. And what we've accomplished in the last 6, 7 years, I don't know how long it's been, I think just scratches the surface of what we're gonna do together. And I love and appreciate you both so much.
Love you too, bro. Thank you so much.
You have been watching the Property Power Play with your host, Kito J Johnson. Right here, we equip you with the tools necessary to play the game of real estate and win. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you in the next episode.
The Convo, the 2-time 2023 Telly Award-winning network, and your home for conversations around Black wealth, available on all platforms.